Good morning, garden friends. Welcome to Flower Patch. One more time. This summer has been so different. One thing, many of my flowers are blooming out faster, meaning they're going to seed really quick rather than sticking around a while. And that's because of the high heat we've been having. I've tried to keep things well watered as best as I can. I have soakers and drips to save water, but also keep the plants hydrated. And so it just seems like it changes much quicker than it normally does. So I'm going to take you around the garden and show you really what's in bloom. One more time, you'll notice the blue delphiniums right back here are gone. I'm going to show you what I did to those. And we will just take a gander. I'm going to also show you what I do with my clematis, my Warsaw Nike. It's a type 3 pruning. And it had this huge flush of blooms. You'll remember it in some of my videos because it was just gorgeous. And right now it's out of bloom. It's all gone to seed. So I cut it back to force a rebloom, and it works wonderfully. So a lot of people, they'll do it individual, and I have to just take a big whack at it. So it's a little different. A lot of people will just be shocking, but it works. So let's take our tour. We're going to start right here. I am going to start putting the hostas in the ground. I haven't seen much gopher activity. I think it's safe. If not, I guess I can replace them. I think they'll do so much better in the ground. I am going to move this bench here. I also have I have a couple of endless summer hydrangeas that I got on the clearance rack at Lowe's, and I want to put them over here. So I have never done that here, because even though this is the best spot for them, because I get heavy snows and it comes off the roof. Let me see if I can tilt you up here without causing too much problem. But it's a real sharp slant on the roof, and the snow piles up right here very heavy, and it tends to break down hydrangeas. But I had seen at a house we visited in New Hampshire several years ago, a frame that they put over their hydrangeas up against the house that protected them. And I can do that and then still enjoy my hydrangeas in the summer. But over here, I'm going to do the hydrangeas and the hostas in the ground, because this is pretty much the only shady spot I have. I'll find another spot for my fountain and all of that right here. And I can just move that bench forward, but I have thought of putting that over on my studio patio area that I built. My mossy heart, you'll even see down here it's clearing up a little bit. I'm getting things planted slowly but surely. The paths are starting to come together. Been taking out a lot of the volunteer plants. I moved my Princess Alexandra of Kent back a bit. You'll see back here is her. She's doing beautifully. I have got a new, to me, fertilizer I've been using this year. It has been fabulous. It's called Agro Thrive. I just get the regular one. I don't do the blooming one. I haven't tried that. I should order it too, but I have been very impressed with my containers using that fertilizer. So just a heads up in case you're looking for something to feed your plants. My petunias in the hay rack have done terrible. I think I just can't keep them moist enough with this horrible heat. So I'm going to take these out, put them in a container or in the ground where they can do their thing instead of struggling. And I'm going to put some sedums in there that I have that are really pretty, and they'll be fine. So let's take a quick look up at the moss heart. I'm going to do my video soon of how I did this. Not that it's very hard, but so there's my moss heart. I'm loving the rock around it. Excuse me, underneath the bench, a little bit more rock needs to go back there, and I'm collecting rock locally. In California, that is permitted. You're permitted so much per trip. And I will get some more rock to put under there. I like how it keeps it tidier. I put brown paper underneath the gravel to suppress weeds for this season, and of course later on, because so many things go to seed in my garden, it will be something I'll have to keep on top of, but I don't mind. I'm just loving this new area. So let's see. Let's move over. Oh, my white swan echinacea is doing great. I'm loving it. Isn't that pretty? And then the two in the ground that I started directly, I'm going to scooch you down a little bit. My neighbor's rooster is going like crazy this morning, but the two in the ground are doing fantastic. Now they'll not bloom this year. They will bloom next year. They'll overwinter, be fine, and bloom next year. So this will be a much larger patch of white here. So I'm looking forward to that. And then the sea holly, the two larger ones are doing great. The other one that's smaller is struggling. I don't think it's going to make it. And then I haven't helped it along because I've actually stepped on it a couple times. So I need to put something there to protect it if it's going to have a chance, I think. I'm not too worried about it. The other two have done great. I think this is HF Young. I'm not sure. Clematis is putting on a bloom. Can you see it there? We might need to go over there. Probably should walk over there and get a close-up of that. This one Gara down here, we'll do that in a second, but this one Gara right here in front of the white swan echinacea, I don't know if it's going to bloom again or if that's typical that it puts out those red type leaves. I think it's really pretty. I love it. I've really been pleased with these. I had mentioned this in the past that I've not been impressed before with Garas, but these are proven winter selections. I have two of them. They stay more compact, and I do like that. And so they really fit in nice here with the white swan echinacea. My Princess Swan, not Princess Swan, what am I saying? My Princess Alexandra of Kent. Look how pretty that thing is. I love the blooms. Let me move over there. That come out, they start so peachy pink, almost a coral, and then they turn lighter as they bloom, but still a beautiful color. Look, this one has a little bee in it. So pretty. So over here, one moment. The purple Rooster Monarda is behind the rose. This is the Olivia Austin rose and my grandmother's hat. Doing great in the pot. I try to keep it watered. I'm going to put a drip system in where it'll automatically water my pots, which will come in handy for me. Down here, the Jupiter's Beard. I mean, this stuff just hasn't quit all summer long. I know many people just cut it back this time of year, and mine's just keeping on going. Beautiful. It's going to come out. I don't have the heart to take it out while it's still blooming so well. And let's see if I can get... Oh, the bees are attacking the poor little hummingbird. Good grief. He's up there on the fence. I don't know if you can see him. Let me see if we can zoom in a little bit. Nope, I'm not tall enough. Okay, you know what's coming into bloom? Let's go along over there and we will see. Look at these dahlias. Aren't they gorgeous? They are the forward ones are in the box, and this one back here is in the ground. I'm going to get you up closer to that so you can really see how gorgeous that is. It's such a deep burgundy. I don't know if it'll show up as deep on the camera as it is in person, but it's worth trying. So look at those. Aren't they beautiful? Now the one over in the container has a yellow center, so it's a different variety. I thought they were the same, but I didn't keep them marked after I had transplanted them from their buckets. Or actually, all their markers fell out of their buckets, so I don't even know which are which. I'll have to go look up what I ordered. I lost some. I have had the worst attack of spider mites this year I have ever had, and they've gotten to some things. So I don't know if it's probably the super hot, dry weather. Back there is the Peaches and Dreams hollyhocks. It's blooming again. The tall spike in the very back is going to seed. I'm going to let it drop there, and hopefully they will just regrow and be true. Because everything cross-pollinates in my garden, I don't know if they'll come true from the seeds, because when they cross-pollinate, you know, they get genetics from the other plants. My purple rooster monarda, it's kind of drying up. I've been cutting back some of them so it'll rebloom. You'll see one new rebloom right there, I think. Let me see if you can see it. Yeah, right here. This one right here is it. And so I'm hoping it'll reflush of blooms. This one would have bloomed longer if it had been normal temperatures, or the blooms would have lasted longer. So I'll just keep cutting it back as it fades, and then hopefully it'll generate new blooms. It should. The Jacob Klein Monarda, the red behind my Hyde Hall rose, is blooming, and it's going on that side of the fence. I'll have to do something different, probably move this pot or transplant that to get it to bloom on this side. But it's kind of fun just to have it back there too. So down here is where I had the delphiniums. Let me scoot you down. Down there was where the delphiniums were, and I just came in and cut them back. This one needs to be cut back a little further, these two. Supposedly they can reflush and bloom again. They won't be as tall. And normally I don't bother even trying to get a rebloom because our season is usually pretty short. But this year's been so odd, I thought I'd give it a try. And I put another dahlia down here. Put another dahlia right here. Like I said, I haven't noticed any trouble with gophers, so I took a chance. I put that little euonymus right here to try to keep my cat from sitting down in there. I have some cleome, and he kept laying on it, so I don't know if he's totally squished it. Let me look down there. No, there's a few coming. Mine just took forever to germinate this year. I don't know why, being it was so hot. Oh, I'm going to turn you around and say it's a surprise plant for me. I planted them last year, and I didn't think they were going to come up, and they did. They were a little late for me. Let me turn you around. Can you see these beautiful blue flowers? Look at them against the larkspur. You think the larkspur is blue. Chinese forget-me-nots. There's one here, and then one here, and then one came up. Oh, that's part of this one. I guess I should have staked them up. But just that beautiful blue. It's a sky blue that's just wonderful. Now I planted or seeded some zinnias. Let me tilt you all the way up. Excuse the hose, right down there. And they're coming up. Look at these. So I'll have some zinnias later on. Other things will be fading in the garden, and this little area will have zinnias. In front, I had planted quite a few seeds, and it seems I have earwigs or something that's eaten them, but though they're still growing. I've been turning Henrietta loose. I'll give you a little shot of Henrietta, and let her scratch up there, so she's hopefully eliminating the earwigs. So my iceberg climbing rose is doing its thing. It just keeps blooming. Next year, I'm sure it will be even thicker and lusher with blooms. But this is the first year it's really taken off, and I'm pleased with it. It is in a pot, but I'm pretty sure that the roots have gone down beneath the pot into the soil. But I will when I set up my soaker in here, my drip, that'll have a drip going to it, and it will flourish even more. I do hand water that, but it can be tricky with all this heat, keeping it moist. So some more of the red monarda that's back there. That was all up here in front, and then it's gone through the fence back there, probably because the delphiniums were here. It was pushed it out, but that's okay. So I don't usually let black-eyed Susans in here. This garden is not usually have yellow in it, but they were too pretty to pull up. So my Aglaya daisy down here, I just did a video on these structures. Oh, sorry. The structures here that support the plant, you probably can hardly see it. Or at least when you're in the garden, you don't hardly see them. And it's just made with concrete remesh, and they just blend in so well. Look at this cosmos. This is a self-seeder. It just came up here and I let it. I've been pruning back the larkspur so that maybe I'll get a reflush of bloom from that. So I wanted you to see, look at that, my pagan purple delphiniums. They are just doing so beautiful. I wanted to hurry up and capture them because the delphiniums is one of those flowers that's been going over quickly. So blooming out with this heat instead of sticking around longer. But I'm going to enjoy them while I can and not complain. I may have said this before, but there's another color I want to get, and it's called Dusky Maidens. It's like a mauve-y deep pink, and it has a black bee, which is the center. I'm trying to step over all this debris in my garden I've got around. But aren't those beautiful? So we're back down here. Now this area, let me straighten you out. I'm not on a gimbal, I just have my tripod and trying to lift it. This, I put my purple feathergrass right here. It was on top of here. I had it in the barrel that had the solar fountain in it. I've got to clean that, so it's sitting over here empty. The hot sun is baking it, and that helps to sterilize it. But down underneath the bench, I had pulled out a lot of the larkspur, etc. Down underneath there, I'm going to do another moss heart. So it'll be another place for the eye to rest. And then the fountain will be on top, and it'll get the water spray on it too. Just right now, I didn't know where I was going to put this purple fountain grass. I would put it in the ground, but I'm going to have to dig it up for winter. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do there. But it's all fun. It's always something in progress as I change ideas or get an idea. The delphinium that was here has gotten cut back. Again, hoping for a rebloom. The Colette climber is getting started. I think it needed a little of the room there, so I'm glad I cut the delphinium back. Next year, I'm not going to have it climb the arbor, or tied to the arbor, the delphinium I mean. I'm going to get an obelisk to put there to support it, kind of like the purple rooster over here is supported by this one. I think it just works better. And then that way the arbor will be clear for Colette to climb. My echinaceas are doing beautiful. And I had to prop them up. They were getting so tall, reaching for the sun. And you'll notice that I cut this daisy back. This daisy down here was supposed to be a short daisy, and it just grew tall. Actually, it was a division from a daisy that stays short up in the front garden. And for some reason it grew 4 feet tall back here. So I didn't want something that big in front, so I cut it back. I will dig it up and transplant it somewhere else, and I will put something a little shorter here, because right back here at the foot of that arbor or obelisk is a clematis, and it totally got choked out by that daisy as far as growing. It's still there, it's still alive. It just didn't go very far because it wasn't getting any sun. So that is all well and good. I have tons of morning glories volunteering everywhere. I pull out tons and tons of these because they reseed readily. Many people call them weedy. I don't. I just call them volunteers, and I just pull them out. They're super easy to pull up, but where I want them to go and let them, you know, it's fantastic to have a free flower. Just wanted to show you this salvia. It's doing so pretty. These come back every year for me. And I have some more up in by my studio patio because I wanted everything. I want drought tolerant right now because, you know, we are having a severe drought and I need to be wise in my plant choices. And this is sage, Russian sage. So that's going to go out. That's another drought tolerant. They get pretty big. So I'll find a spot for that. And they have pretty blue flowers. Here's my other Gara in here. Let's see if you can see it. Right back in here is my other Gara. And it has a few buds on it. I love how they dance in the wind. The bees buffet them. I have a dahlia down here. So it's going to bloom pretty soon. It's got a bud on it. We're getting ready to go to Mendocino Botanical Gardens, and I've got to set up a list for my house sitter of what hose to turn on when, because there's hoses hooked to all my drip systems. I don't have it like permanently hooked to something that turns on. I would like to get a timer set up going so that I don't even have to think about it. Excuse my hose, but my petunias that I have in the ground have all done beautiful. They create the low edging that I wanted and put them in. That was like a grocery store 6-pack I got. Nothing fancy or expensive, and they do the job well. I had planted a bunch of, right here, sweet peas. Just one has survived. It went from cool to so hot that a lot of my sweet peas did not fare well. The only one that's doing beautifully, and I'll take you over there in a minute, is the one that started right in the ground. This lime nicotiana, that thing has been amazing. I got this one at Annie's Annuals. I'm hoping to collect the seed. In fact, I need to look at it, see if there's any seed available. This has not stopped all summer. It started in June and has kept on going. The heat has not had any effect on it at all as far as diminishing bloom or drying up the flowers. It does kind of wilt during the heat of the day, but that's only a self-protective mechanism. It's not lacking water or anything. But an amazing plant. I do want to get more. And I'm going to try to grow them from seed. My lilies are all getting ready to bloom. They're all in pots. I'm hoping maybe I can put them back in the ground. I will test some. I'll put some in the ground and see how they do over winter, see if the gophers come back, etc. But I have a trap, and maybe it's working. I'm getting a lot of backlight the other direction. I wanted to show you this sweet pea still going strong. I picked a bunch off. I'm trying to keep it from going to seed right now so it keeps blooming. I have some on the lower level I'm letting go to seed because I want to collect seed of this one and replant. It has been a tremendously wonderful, productive sweet pea. I wish I knew the name. I was going to look on Sweet Pea Garden's site. I think I got it from them, I'm pretty sure, and see if she could identify it for me. There's one similar to it over on the arbor, but I know that's not the same name. So, and it hasn't been as productive as this one. Down here, I have been very, very pleased with the lobelia and alyssum I put in. This is the alyssum that volunteered and back from seed from last year. Tiny Tim's from Botanical Interest, that's the name of that particular alyssum, or lobularia as some prefer to call it. And then the lobelia. I just love that color of blue with the lobelia. And I got that as a 6-pack at a garden center and just popped it in the ground. Some that I had waited too long and I planted over here. It was too hot for it, and it just fried it. So start it early and it will withstand the heat. But if you start it during the heat, it's not going to make it. We don't want to miss the centerpiece. The violas in here got the spider mites really bad, and I've had to chop it back. And it looks like something is munching on my petunias. I'll have to see if I have some kind of caterpillar. But so this I've had to do some maintenance on, and it will revive. The petunias will do great for the rest of the summer. The violas I may need to pull out completely because spider mites are really hard to eradicate once they get started, and once the plants have been damaged by them, you might as well just take them out because that will help you to eliminate the problem. But down at the base, the little cuttings of boxwood that I put in there have done beautifully. So that's the centerpiece. You can see the sun coming over and starting to lighten everything up, brighten everything. You may have noticed that the rose is gone behind the tool shed, and that is fitting because that was not something I wanted. That was not a rose I wanted. It was just Dr. Huey that is used as a grafting base for mini roses because of its vigor, but I prefer own root roses. So just a peek around at the garden, on this July 21st. Over to my little greenhouse, still needs to be fixed. The repairman is supposed to come sometime soon. Let's take a quick glance at the veggie garden. There's some stuff going on in there. Wanted you to see this pretty little thing, this salvia, and it's just blooming away. The hummingbirds just love these things, and it's worth growing. It's drought tolerant, comes back every year. It's just a wonderful bright spot in the garden. Let's take a look at our delphiniums one more time. They just never fail to wow me. So we're in the veggie garden, and everything's kind of a mess because I am getting ready to go on a trip for a few days, and I'm trying to get things situated where it will be easy for someone else to water. I haven't got my irrigation system set up in here, my drip system. I had something set up and it broke, so I need to redo it. I know how I'm going to redo it, but it's going to take me a little bit. I've got the parts on order, but in the interim, I need to make sure my veggies don't go dry while we are gone, especially it's going to be pretty hot. So in this bed here, I have basil, a free-seeded cosmos. I need to tie that up or cut it back a little bit. It's starting to take over. There is one of the container zucchinis I'm trying for the first time. They're supposed to stay a bit smaller, and I've already got fruit developing on some others. I haven't seen any in there yet, but I have green beans growing down here. And like I said, I have the basil. There is a tomato that came up in there, but I need to stake it up. I didn't see it until I came in here earlier to look through things, and it came up. It's a volunteer, so I don't know what kind it is, but I'll stake it up and let it grow on. Back in here, this is my Brandy Boy tomato, and it's got the big leaves. It's taking off. Back here, it wasn't getting the water it needed, so I'm trying to be conscientious of that. Here is my climbing zucchini. It's climbing up the fence. This is Trombolina, also used to be known as zucchetta. It's a delicious zucchini that keeps its texture when you cook it. You know, sometimes it gets mushy, or certain zucchinis do. I put up one of the, let me see if I can get my hand over here without shaking you too much. These concrete remesh panels. I made it go over the bed. It's just the bed itself that's supporting the sides here. And it makes a hoop. And here is my little cucumbers that are climbing up it. And the cucumber will provide shade, and I'm going to reseed more lettuce in here. We eat tons of lettuce. You can see the lettuce back there is bolted and gone to seed. I can just sprinkle that back in here to grow. And I'm going to test this winter. I'm going to cover it with some clear plastic and see how it holds up. I may put a stake in the center so it doesn't smash down, because if we get another one of those heavy snowstorms like we got last winter, it would smash it down. But if we had normal winter weather, then it won't. But here's another tomato here. I like the tomato cages like this. And I like them for one reason is they do beautifully in containing your rose, keeping it growing up and supporting it without me having to work for it. And then the other is the deer do not get in here. They won't put their face through the hole to get the tomatoes. I've actually seen a buck bracing himself on his feet and pushing with his head to push it over, but the spikes go into the ground so well He wasn't able to push it over, and he got upset, but he left. My strawberries are doing beautifully. I've got to cover them with some wire. As soon as they're getting ripe, something eats them. But look at these. I got some really big ones coming right here. Isn't that pretty? I got to figure out today how to get a cage over this so I have some berries when I get back. And up here, we're behind that arbor. Back underneath there is where I'm going to put that other moss heart. I'm hoping to. I don't know if I'll get to it before we leave, but I'll get to it when I get back if I don't. Okay, let me go back around. I kind of missed some of my, oh, one moment. This is, I've already been getting tomatoes off of this one. This is an early girl. And that's why they call it early girl, because you get tomatoes first off of it, and it's doing great. I had a short cage on this one. I need to tie it up or support it against the back panel fence there. A gladiola. This was a volunteer. I had some gladiolas in here, and even when I moved all the beds, it got moved somehow and mistreated for sure, but it's doing gorgeous. Isn't that so pretty? Look at those centers. I'm definitely going to add more gladiolas. I didn't know they would overwinter for me, but this one sure did over here. This is another one of those squash. You see the squash blossom down in there? I can't remember the name of it, Exeter or something. I think I got it. It's from Renee's Seeds or Botanical Interest, either one. Peppers. This one's a bell pepper. This one's a snacking pepper. And this one back here is a jalapeno. And I planted some sunflowers. I think these are Pro-Cut White. I'm not certain. I had sunflowers down here too, and they disappeared. They came up, they germinated, I saw them, I was so happy, and then they just disappeared. I don't know what ate them. This is a butterfly bush in a pot that needs to be watered. I guess the water, I had a sprinkler on here yesterday, didn't hit in there. So another squash. This one, because I put two in a spot when I planted them, and this one germinated in one of those other containers, and I dug it up, transplanted. You'll hear a lot of people say you can't do that. They don't like to be transplanted. But since it was going to be cut off anyways, I thought I'd give it a shot and see. And it worked. It's taking off, and it's already producing fruit. Here is my other tomatoes. I think these are the Rutgers, which are supposed to be a really good sauce tomato. They've grown up the panel. I have a remesh panel back there stuck into the ground that I wove them into. And then I'm going to put another one up on the arbor, and then they'll finish climbing up. It looks like they're going to get tall. I thought they were supposed to stay shorter, but they're getting tall. This is a hyacinth bean vine, and it's climbing up the arbor. I had to put a little more wire in there to give it more to climb on, but it's doing it. It's getting big. And these are just some cages, or tomato cages. I don't use these for tomatoes. I use them for other climbing things. I had my sugar snap peas on them, and they went that away when the heat hit, and I got to put these away. The dill has been tremendous this year. This has gone to seed, and I need to cut it off. I don't want it seeding in here, but very pretty. I haven't seen any butterfly eggs on it yet, though I wouldn't know what they look like, so I'm not sure what I'm even saying. And this is a beautiful cosmos that reseeded itself last year. So that pretty much is my veggie garden. Those are the veggies we eat. The green beans, the cucumbers, the tomatoes. Since I have such a short growing season, I haven't really found like eggplants and other like that. That will actually come to fruition for me. But so there's my secret garden from this side, secret cottage garden. And this little hydrangea, delphinium, this one came up here in this bed. It's a light blue. Isn't that pretty? It's like my ones in my side garden. But this one's just getting established. So I need to make sure I keep it fed and watered, and then next year I should have these tall light blue ones right here. What I find interesting, look at this little coneflower, echinacea here. It looks like it's going to be a white one. I don't remember putting that there, not that I didn't, But right now it's struggling just because it doesn't get a lot of sun. The pagan purple delphiniums block it. But when they are done blooming and I cut them back hard, it will get a lot more sun. So I think it will take off and be a pretty spot right here. These beautiful dahlias. Aren't they just gorgeous? And then this one over here's got a yellow center. It's a little flatter. And that, my friends, is the Secret Cottage Garden, July 21st and 22nd. I had to come back out here to finish up. Enjoy. I will see you in the next video.